Okay, what's going on, guys? Rob here. I know that you can't see me, but welcome to the RathCo gaming channel. I'm your host, Robbie Rath, and I just got the hell scared out of me. Now, as you guys know, as everyone who knows me as a YouTuber, one of my number one YouTube fan, one of my number one YouTubers that I'm a huge fan of is Mr. Ballin for the spooky stories. Well, folks, I just had the shit scared out of me, and I'm going to tell you about it. Okay, so, how do I put this? How do I begin? Okay, so, I work at a pizza pub and grill called Santino's in Alma, New York. And I live off of Clinton Street, and my workplace is also off of Clinton Street. So, it takes me a good 15 minutes to get to work. The ride to work was fine. And I left work about 10 minutes ago. Okay, this happened about a mile away from a mile or two down the road, as I was approaching Bowen or Borden or something like that. But more to the point, I see this guy on the side of the road, and as I approach him, he starts walking into the center of the road. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, why is this guy does he want to get hit? So I slow down. And I come basically to a stop, and I locked my door, but rolled down my window enough to talk to the guy. And he goes, can I grab a cigarette from you? And I said, yeah. And I went to reach for my pack, and then he was out in front of my truck, waiting. So I turned my truck off instinctively, put the keys in my pocket. I get out, and by the way, Mr. Ballin's stories have actually done a lot to educate me about being safe and about not letting my truck run and being a naive moron. So I'd like to thank Mr. Ballin for that, because if it weren't for him, I probably would have left my vehicle going, and the guy probably could have stole my truck. But the great thing is, well, not great, the spooky thing is, so I get out of my truck, I walk up to him, and he goes, do you have a cigarette? And I said, yeah, sure, no problem. In the time it took me to look down at my pocket and glance back up, this guy was gone. I didn't hear a sound. I didn't hear a whisper. It's still freaking me out. My hands are still fucking shaking. Because, he was as clear, and I was standing right in front of him. Like I'd be standing in front of a normal person, anybody. And all of a sudden, he asked me for a cigarette, and it was 1 second. I looked down, and I looked back up, and he was gone. Well, what the fuck is going on? So I get back in my truck, and I start driving. And about a mile and a half down the road, I see the same guy wearing the same exact clothes, and he waves to me. And at first I shrugged it off. I'm like, okay, so he's walking. And then it dawns on my stoner ass. Wait a minute. How the hell did he get a mile and a half up the road when I just seen him, minutes ago? And that really fucking freaked me out. But what freaked me out even more is I saw the guy, same guy, I think, dressed the same, and he waved to me, and I waved I waved, but I didn't look back, and then I glanced in my rearview mirror, and there was nobody. So I, this evening, am officially freaked the hell out. I know you guys can't see me right now because it's, I gotta work at about 9:45, so yeah, it's probably about 10 o'clock right now or shortly after. And I live on the United States East Coast, so, in the summertime, it does wait a little later before it'll get dark. But guys, I always thought of myself as the one who listens to the stories, not encounters the stories. So I think what I'm going to do is my buddy Scott, I literally called him right after it happened, before I started recording this video on my phone on my way home from work. But more to the point, I digress. My buddy Scott's suggestion was that I go online and research shit around Borden Road, because there's a cemetery right there. I was like, all right, I'll look it up. So when I get home, probably in 5-10 minutes, when I get home, I am planning on doing a little research about the area and seeing if anything is weird, or if anybody else experienced this guy. Because what drives me crazy, what I have to know, is if it was an actual person or an omnipotent being or a spirit or... I am not a strong believer, but I'm not a strong disbeliever either. And that's for one reason. I'm going to go into a little rant. The reason that I honestly believe that some people... in my opinion, let's say you're murdered and you die before your time, before you were supposed to die, okay? Before God or whatever you believe in, you die before your time. Now, me personally, I would be upset. If someone took my life before it had officially, before it had normally ended, I wouldn't be able to rest in peace. And I think that that's why when I hear about spirits and hauntings and that, what I believe is that those people their lives were taken from them, and they're frustrated and they're angry, and they want people to know what happened to them so that they can have some peace and so that they can finally rest in peace. It's just a theory, but I think that's what it is, because if your life is cut short, me personally, like I said, I would be pissed. And I think that my soul would be tortured. I don't think that anyone could rest in peace if they were murdered. Because imagine your life ending before it was meant to end, because someone took it away from you. I just think that there's a lot of misunderstanding when it comes to the paranormal and things like that. Because I don't think that anyone really stops and asks themselves, wait a minute, why is this omniscient? Why is this spirit? Why is this ghost choosing to haunt this area? And I don't know, but I would like to think that if we did some research on some of these hauntings, I would like to believe that there was a murder or a life that ended too soon. But I'm not an expert on all that stuff. All I can do is theorize. I can't really make accurate observations because I've never experienced the paranormal, because I'm not fond of angering spirits, okay? And by that I mean, we obviously cannot talk to spirits. It's basically impossible. How are you going to talk to a spirit? It's beyond impossible, And I think that in order to better understand the paranormal, the spirits, well, I guess I don't know how to better understand it. And I think that's where I really get stumped, because, like, for example, a while back, a friend of mine and his sister went to Death Valley, California. And they wanted to go check out the Barker Ranch. But the closer they got to it, they said, my buddy's sister claims that she heard a voice whisper, "Get out. You don't know. You don't belong here." And I did some digging and figured out that the ranch hand, I believe it was the gentleman who owned Barker Ranch, whom I believe was killed by Charles Manson. And that is why I believe that he was saying, "Get out, you don't belong here," because that is a prime example of a tortured spirit that cannot rest properly. Again, these are only theories. So, I mean, it's a working theory that I'm currently working on. But on that note, even though this video can extend to over 10 minutes because I'm not using the Bandicam, I'm using my actual cell phone to record it. But I'm going to be home in just a few minutes, so I figure you guys can finish the tail end of the ride home with me. As soon as I get home, I got to take my in-law home and that. But other than that, I'm free for the evening for your uploading pleasure. And yes, folks, I will be uploading videos tonight. Not really sure what videos just yet. I'll be home and I will be ready for action and ready to... Wow, that didn't sound right. I will be home and I will be ready to jump into action when it comes to gaming. So, yeah. I mean, unless something unforeseen happens and I don't feel good when I get home or something, then that's a different story. But right now, what I've wanted to be focused on, you guys, I gotta clean the studio. You guys probably know that from listening to me talk about it. I gotta clean the fucking studio because that place is a mess. My bedroom is my studio, basically. But if I don't clean that fucking place, woo, it is a mess. I don't mind telling you. It is a major mess. So, but the reason that I want to clean the studio is because I want to put a lot of upgrades into it. Like for filming wise, I want to put I want to invest in a webcam. Wow. Fucking retard. Guy just blew a red light and I hate that word. I shouldn't have used that word. I ought to smack myself across the face. I'm not a fan of slandering or, challenging a person's faith or belief system or anything like that. But now I'm probably blathering on because I'm mind-numbingly tired from work. We actually went out of stock on the clams today. Sold steamed clams, raw clams, freaking clams. But yeah, so just about to the old homestead. I hope that you enjoyed this episode of Cruising with Rob. And until next time, as always, be sure to like and subscribe, turning on all notifications for the RathCo Gaming channel so you don't miss a beat of all the new and upcoming content. And even though you can't see my face, I am saluting you. And I am telling you what a great deal it is, and you should do it because it's free. So check out my channel. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, like, subscribe, turn on all notifications, and I'll see you on the flip side.